Hi, I'm Scott Hanselman, and this is the missing Windows 8 instructional video. I've got another video where I show you basically everything I'm going to show you in this video, except I do it in only 4 minutes. That might be great for techies or people who are kind of advanced, but for the rest of us, it's pretty intense and it looks a little frantic. So I thought I would take some time to go through a number of things within Windows 8, like what changed, who moved my cheese, talk about the start screen, talk about hot corners. I'm going to show full screen apps and desktop apps, how to change your settings, some of the new things around browsing, where your social things are, where's my Twitter, where's my Facebook, the mouse, and using keyboard shortcuts. So, this is Windows 8. This is the Windows 8 start screen. This is the first thing that you see when you start up Windows. Now initially, if you're familiar with Windows XP or Vista or Windows 7, you might say, where's my desktop? Well, everything here represents a program that you can run. And the desktop is also an icon that you can click on. So if I click on desktop, you see it's labeled desktop right here. I'm right back to my desktop, the one that I'm familiar with. I've got my programs on my taskbar that I've pinned. Here's Word. I can still run Word, shut Word down. It's still Windows. But you notice that there's no Start button anymore. For many, many years, we had a Start button in the lower left corner, and suddenly that's gone. Well, it turns out that it's actually still there. Just move the mouse down into the lower left corner. You see it appears when I move the mouse down there. And I can just click, and I'm right back to this Start screen. It's almost like a giant full screen Start button. The other thing that I can do is I can use the window button on my keyboard. Almost everyone has one of these. If you look at your keyboard right now, you've got your space bar, and then to the left, you've got Control and Alt. In between Control and Alt is the window button. If I just push that button, it takes me to the start screen. Push it again, I go back to the desktop. Here I am clicking it really fast. Each time I push it, it takes me back and forth between the desktop and the start screen. Now the start screen is filled with these things called live tiles. You'll notice that the tiles are moving even as I sit here talking to you. I'm not doing anything, they're moving on their own. This one is telling me the stock. This one's telling me global warming is going to kill us all. I've got email coming in, tweets, travel details. I can use the scroll wheel on my mouse here just to scroll up and down. Up and down the mouse will go left and right here. I can hold down the Control button. I'm holding down Control, and then I'm going to scroll again. This is real common. You've done this before, perhaps in Word, if you've ever zoomed in or zoomed out. And I can see a 20,000-foot view of all of my things. I zoom back in. I can pick up any one of these with my mouse, drag it somewhere else, and you see that the other tiles are getting out of the way. Put it any way that I want. I can right-click. I've just right-clicked on the Google one here, and I've got the choice to make it smaller. You see how this menu popped up in the corner? I'm going to make Google smaller. And then I can right-click on Camera. I can do things like unpin, uninstall, go back to Google, and hit larger. All of these ones here, like Google and Camera, are full-screen applications. I can go and get a full screen application from the Windows Store. This button here is the Store. We'll look at that in a little bit and we'll get ourselves a new application. When I right click, you'll notice the menu that pops up at the bottom there. That little bit of a context menu. I can uninstall, unpin, but notice here in the corner it says All Apps. If I click that, I'm going to see everything. This is every single app that Windows knows about. If I scroll, it might be a little scary, but the point here is that this is like the list that you would see when you said all programs in Windows 7 and versions of Windows before this, except laid out in a big long list. But you don't want to find yourself walking around scrolling trying to find that application that you want. That's going to take a long time. What you'd like to do is just have the main programs that you use pinned to the front here, and then just start typing. For example, let's say that I want to run news. I could just say news. You see how as I'm typing, N-E-W-S, and then I can hit enter and then immediately run the news application. It takes up the entire screen, and then I'll hit the start button and go back. I could type in weather, or I could type in travel and hit enter, and then go to the travel application. When I scroll out and my icons get smaller, you notice that I've labeled these. I can right-click on these zoomed out tiles and I can name them. Stuff I use all the time. This also allows me to move entire groups of icons. Desktop stuff, stuff I use all the time. I can move these around, put media ones up front now. Click back in, and now I've got Netflix and Hulu up front. You see the little space in between my groups here. I could pick one up, make a new group. There's Netflix by itself. I can zoom out, and I'll name that group just Netflix. Or I could zoom back in, pick up Netflix, put it back inside of media. You have total control of what happens with your start menu. You can have basically nothing there if you'd like, or you could fill it with as much stuff as you want. Remember when I went to the lower left corner to pick the start menu? Well, when I'm in the start menu, this gives me access to a task switching menu that shows me all the other apps. So I can click back and forth between the app I was running and the start menu. But if I put my mouse in the corner, you see those little edges right there along the left, those other rectangles you can barely see. I'm going to move my mouse in the corner and then just go up. You just see how that flew out? Went down and then up. Here are all of the applications that I have running here. I've got news, photos, finance, all from that hot corner. I can do the same thing just by running up in the left corner and coming down. Just getting that edge active. And I can now switch around from news to finance to the start menu itself. So that left edge are the applications that I've been running. But I can also go over to the edge and drag in an application. Like I can drag in the travel app. I'm back there. Or I could drag in the photos app. And I'm back there. I'll show you other tricks in a few minutes where we'll be able to run more than one application at once, brought in from that left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we've got something else. We've got a menu here, and these are called charms. Now this charms menu is available to you from anywhere. So even if I were in the news application, I go over to the right-hand corner, either the top corner or the lower right corner. These charms will always be there. So there's always a start button available here as well. But there's also settings, the ability to search the current application or anything at all within Windows, share stuff from the current application, and then also print or send things to devices. So left-hand side, tasks, right-hand side, charms. If I click on settings, you'll see the settings for the news application, because that's the application that I'm running right now. But I'll also see things like internet access, volume, brightness, which I don't have because I'm on a desktop machine. Notifications. If I'm giving a presentation, I might want to hide my notifications right now for an hour, so Windows won't bother me. The ability to turn off the PC or change PC-wide settings that we'll look at in a few minutes. If I'm in this news application, and it looks like global warming is going to kill us all, I can come over here and say share. This is super interesting. I'll click share, and then I'm given a list of applications that I have installed that might care about sharing. I could send it to Instapaper, mail it to my friend, post it on Twitter with the People app. I'll send that off to my Instapaper and hit add. News doesn't know about Instapaper. Windows knows about things that can accept sharing. News is a full screen application. Full screen applications you can get from the store. See how the store here says 1 That means that one of my applications needs an update. I can see here in the corner and click on Update, and it looks like the Music app needs to be updated. I'll just click Install, and this is like any app store that you may have seen. While that's updating the Music app, I'm going to right-click. Right-click and a menu comes up. This happens in all full-screen applications. I'll click on Home. I can scroll around and see that there's a new game. This game is $1.49, but there's a trial, so I can download the trial of this game. So I hit Try, and this is automatically starting to install. Now I can leave and go do other stuff while that application's coming in, and then they'll let me know, and that application's going to show up at the end of my Start menu. When that app is done installing, it's going to pop up a notification and let me know that it's ready to go. Now the app is installed and it has appeared at the end of my Start menu. I can pick it up, drag it anywhere that I want, put it up front here, click on it, whoa, and try this game.
He was the gun stringer.
It's like it's logging into Xbox.
Even after years in the grave, he moved with the strength.
I can always go down to the corner, run the Start menu again. The app's still there. It's on pause. It's been suspended. I can click back. Now let's say that this application crashed. It didn't, but let's say that it had trouble, or I wanted to quit it on purpose. I wanted to force quit it. I could go up to the top here and grab a hold. You see the little hand there? I'm going to grab a hold of this app. I'm just going to drag it down into the trash. I've just force quit that full screen application. You don't need to do that. You don't need to force close these applications, but it's nice to know that you could if you had trouble. Now I'll right click on that application. I could make the live tile smaller to make it fit with my other applications, or I could just click uninstall. And now it's gone. So taking applications from the store, installing them, doing trials, and then uninstalling them is really, really easy. These are full screen apps. But remember earlier when I clicked on desktop, it's still Windows and I can still run all the same things that I could before. So for example, here's Word. I might want to make a business calendar. I can rearrange my Word document just like any other Windows app. I can run Notepad. I can run Explorer. Explorer looks a little bit different than you might be used to because it's got a ribbon at the top, so it looks more like Word and Excel. But if you don't like the ribbon, you can always close it. Now it looks just like Explorer used to. I can move files around, do everything I could before. If I have the ribbon open, I get a little bit more information like easy access, where I can actually pin things to the start. I can add favorites. I can grab folders, pick those folders up. Here I'm right dragging. I could create a shortcut. So I can have icons on my desktop, big or small, just like before. It's still Windows. It just has a big giant start button that fills the whole screen. I can take this notepad and I'm going to just drag it up against the left, slam it up against the left side here. I'll take Word and I'll slam it up against the right side. So now I've snapped them both up against the left side or the right side, working on two things at once. That's a feature that we had in Windows 7. I can take Word and I can slam it up against the top and maximize it. Or I can just use minimize and maximize as I did before. Desktop apps like Quicken or Word and Excel all exist, even DOS prompts, Google Chrome, whatever makes you happy. Still work just fine. But that left side still exists. So I could go and grab the News application and bring it in. But if I'm bringing it in, I could let go and fill the screen again. There's my desktop. Or I could grab news, bring it in, and maybe drag it over here. See how the desktop got out of the way? Or I could drag it over to the left. See how the desktop gets out of the way? This is called snapped view. I'm going to let go. Notice how the news application just changed. I could grab the travel application, stick it on the corner. When it's filling up 2/3 of the screen, it looks like this. When it's filling up 1/3 of the screen, it looks like this. It changes its size depending on what I need. So let's say I want to watch Hulu. I'm going to hit the start button on my keyboard. I could either click on Hulu or just start typing Who. There's Hulu. Hit enter. Start watching a show. Then I'm going to bring the desktop back in. Then I'll move Hulu over to the corner here. So now I'm watching Hulu while I'm working on my Word document. If I want to pause Hulu or get it out of my way, I'll push it off to the side. So desktop apps and full screen apps can live side by side just comfortably. I go back here. This start menu is a little bit bland. I do have my face in the corner, which is nice, but it's just kind of green. I could start typing background. Maybe I can change my background that way. That searches apps by default. There are no apps called background. But there are 5 settings for background, so I typed in background and I'll click on settings. I could change my start screen, change my desktop background. I'm going to click start screen. I can change the color of my start screen, change the background to be something a little bit more wacky, change my lock screen, or change my account picture. I can actually change anything at all that I want within Windows just by typing in the setting I might want to change. Let's say fonts, and clicking on settings. Or maybe I want to say brightness if I'm on a laptop. Or maybe I have questions about how much RAM is on the computer. I just typed in RAM. Or maybe I want to find a file. I remember that there was a tax PDF, and I'll click on Files. So I've searched all the files on my computer, and there's a 2010 tax form. So I can change settings and search from anywhere. In this case, I did it from the Start menu. I started typing. Type in Word, there's Word. Click on Settings. Here's settings that have the word Word in them. Here's files that have the word Word. Or I could come down to the corner, click on Settings, and search around Settings manually. There's lots of choices. You get to do it the way that you want to do it. Now in Windows 8, there's the full screen browser experience and there's the desktop browser experience. I can go to Internet Explorer, go to news.com, and I'm browsing full screen. Notice that there's no toolbar, there's no tabs, there's just the browser. You can't even tell what kind of browser this is. If I right-click, and this is true in any full screen application, my menus show up. I can start a new tab, go to a different website. Right-click, switch tab. So this is the full screen browser experience. When I right-click, I've got settings. I can pin something to the Start menu, so I could take my favorite websites and put them on the Start menu. Here I could take CNET and pin that to the Start menu. But let's say I don't want to use Internet Explorer for my full screen browser. I might want to use Chrome. Well, I could install Chrome, but when I run it, it goes to the desktop. Well, if Chrome is the default browser, it can be full screen too. So I'm going to come here and click Make Chrome my default browser. They're going to say, what do you want to use? Chrome, Opera, or keep using Internet Explorer. I'm going to click on Chrome. So Chrome is now my default browser. I go back to the Start menu. Notice how Internet Explorer looks a little different. If I click on Internet Explorer, I'm on the desktop. If I go to the Start menu and I click on Chrome, Chrome is full screen. So I get the Google Chrome experience, but I get it in a full screen browser. So you do have choices. I can also have any browser I want on the desktop. Now, one question you might have is, where's my Twitter? Where's my Facebook? You can go into the browser and launch Twitter or Facebook and use those. You could go into the store and get a Twitter app or a Facebook app. Or you could use the People application that comes with Windows itself. This has been in the corner the whole time, updating me with information. I could click on the People application, and you'll see here in the corner it says Connected To. If I go down in the corner here and look at the settings for the People app and click on Accounts, you can see I've got Skype, Twitter, my email, my Facebook, my personal email, all plugged in one place. So Facebook and Twitter are here. I could actually say what's new and see what's new on Twitter and Facebook. I could click on a contact, like Aaron, see a map of where he is, more details, whatever he just said on Twitter. Or, if this isn't all of Aaron's information, I could click link and bring in his Skype and Messenger. So then Aaron in multiple places becomes just Aaron the person. If I want to contact Aaron, I think about Aaron. I don't think about Facebook Aaron or Twitter Aaron or Skype Aaron. I could also click on a person, mark them as a favorite, or pin that individual person themselves to the Start menu. Then go back to Start, grab that person, and drop them somewhere. So then I would only see information about that person. So I could have a live tile being updated all the time of that particular friend, what they're doing, what they're tweeting. Click on them once and contact them. Or unpin them. So there are social things that are built in. Now when thinking about using the mouse, which is what I've been using the entire time here, not a touch screen, I can again scroll up and down, moving left and right. I can hold down the Control button, zoom out, move things around, right-click for menus. Or I could do keyboard shortcuts. I'll take my hand off the mouse, and now I'm just using the arrow keys. You see how those tiles have a border around them. I could go and move my arrow keys around. I could page up and page down. I could home and end. I could start typing to run calculator, hit enter. Push the Start button to go back to the Start menu, type in Word, hit enter. Or use hotkeys, like hold the Window button and push Window D to go to the desktop. Or press Window E for Explorer. So Windows 8 can be as mouse-friendly, touch-friendly, or keyboard-friendly as you want. If you're a real power user, your favorite shortcut will be Window X. That gets you to this menu here, with things like Tell me about my system, launch a command prompt, search things, or go to the control panel. Hit Start, get right back to the Start menu. So I hope in the time that you've spent with me, I've given you some sense of what's changed in Windows 8 and what's the same. It's still Windows. There is a big giant Start screen, giant full screen Start button. If you know about the hot corners, tasks on the left, settings on the right, you can get around very nicely. There are full screen apps. Those full screen apps can be closed. Those full screen apps can be switched between. There's lots of settings for you to change. Those can be searched for really easily. Your desktop apps are usable as always. You can browse in a full screen browser or browser on the desktop. You've got social applications built into Windows, or you can go to the store and get your own social apps. There's lots and lots of mouse gestures, touch gestures, and keyboard shortcuts that you can explore. Thanks for spending time with me. Bye-bye.